The following presentation in this video are personal viewpoints of the speaker and do not reflect official policy or views of the Department of Defense or any of the U.S. military services. Welcome to Shoot, Move, Communicate, where we provide video content for military members to be educated on how to be fit for the fight and life. In other words, we provide content for service members on how to be physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for the violence of combat and for tackling the obstacles of life. Our video content is designed to be used ideally in small unit discussion in conjunction with physical fitness and tactical training for maximum effectiveness. I'm Chris Reardon, an active duty U.S. Marine, and today we're continuing with part 3 of our series regarding the ethical and moral principles related to the employment of deadly force. Today, we'll be covering the last 3 of 5 scenarios in which military members may find themselves in when deadly force is ethical to employ. We hope you join us in on this important conversation. In part 1 and 2 of this series, we mentioned that there were 5 scenarios in which military members may lawfully employ deadly force. As a refresher, they are as follows. Number 1, self-defense. Number 2, the attack of legitimate military targets and defense of others. Number 3, the defense of infrastructure and assets vital to national security. Number 4, the protection of inherently dangerous property. And number 5, the prevention of the escape of a dangerous prisoner. Now that we've covered these 5 scenarios, we're going to talk today about the last 3 scenarios. We covered the last 2 in the last 2 parts. The first one is the defense of infrastructure and assets vital to national security. This means, for example, classified materials, critical communications, and critical logistical nodes. For example, classified information if placed in the hands of the wrong people could endanger the lives of sensitive human sources, expose vulnerabilities, or reveal critical operational details which in the hands of the wrong person could cause mission defeat and even the deaths of many service members. From an infrastructure standpoint, this could mean vital communications that if attacked could leave the nation and or its forces very vulnerable to attack. It could also mean commercial or logistic assets such as fuel that is critical to the economy and national security. Competent government authorities determine those assets. The fourth deadly force employment scenario is the protection of inherently dangerous property. Now, again, this is a type of employment scenario where military personnel who are guarding dangerous property may use deadly force to prevent the actual theft or sabotage of inherently dangerous property. An example of this would be somebody attempting to steal military firearms or weapons from the armory, which in the hands of the wrong person could endanger the lives of others. This could mean, for example, the guarding of a tank, sensitive aircraft, submarine, etc. This is property that in the hands of an unauthorized individual, criminal, or adversary actor would create an imminent threat of death or seriously bodily harm. On-scene commanders determine if property is inherently dangerous. Examples include, but are not limited to, portable missiles, rockets, arms, ammunition, explosives, chemical agents, biological select agents and toxins, and special nuclear materials. The fifth and last employment of deadly force scenarios is that when a military member is performing an arrest or apprehension as well as preventing escape of a prisoner. This may include a recently captured enemy combatant on the battlefield who could reasonably be able to harm others. Care must be taken here, of course, that this does not mean killing POWs in an individual or unit's possession just because they are burdened in some way to mission accomplishment, as this would be a violation of the law of war. Now, continuing on, authorized DoD personnel may use deadly force to arrest, apprehend, or prevent the unlawful escape of a fleeing subject if there is probable cause to believe that, number 1, the subject has committed an offense involving the infliction or threatened infliction of serious physical injury or death. And number 2, the escape of the subject would pose an actual or imminent threat of death or seriously bodily harm to DoD personnel or others in the vicinity. In summary, there are 5 general scenarios when military members are to use deadly force. They are that of self-defense, the attack of authorized military targets, and defense of others during hostilities, the defense of critical infrastructure and assets, the protection of inherently dangerous property, and lastly, the prevention of an escape of a prisoner given the right conditions. In conclusion, there is obviously detailed and thought that should be given to various orders, regulations, and laws when considering the use of force. It is important, though, for service members to think of these situations ahead of time, because when the time comes to pull triggers, one must be able to do so without hesitation, as they otherwise will endanger themselves or others. In the same token, it is also important to consider when to not use deadly force, as to avoid unlawful, unethical, and immoral actions on the battlefield or during law enforcement operations. By taking these thoughtful actions, both individually and as a unit, you'll be building an ethical flak vest and Kevlar that will serve to protect and preserve the warrior soul to stay on the path of true north when it comes to the ugly business of warfighting. That being said, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and ring the bell at the bottom of this video to get future updates. Our next video, part 4, will include special bonus material based out of Lieutenant Colonel Grossman's book on combat, and is designed to be used by individuals or in unit training as part of an optional and authorized command religious program session. We'll be providing commentary from one of the last chapters in Grossman's book titled Thou Shalt Not Kill, the Judeo-Christian View of Killing. We hope to see you on this next Shoot, Move, Communicate video session, where we will continue to train military operators to be fit for the fight and life, namely physically, mentally, and spiritually prepared for the violence of combat. Until then, remember, land of the free because of the brave.